Alrighty, what's up friends? Today we are here on Black Mamba, and it might look a little bit different if you've seen my previous videos on this build. Be sure to check out the series up in the iCard. Today we have some brand new tires courtesy of M Boards. These are the Nova 7-inch tires. And then on the rear, I just finished my installation of these Linnpower gear drives. These are 4-gear style straight cut gear drives with metal motor pinion, 2 metal idler gears, and a plastic wheel gear. These come out to a ratio of 4.3, which is almost exactly the ratio that I had before with my 16 to 68 belt setup. So we should have very comparable performance in terms of what this board is able to do in acceleration and braking. However, now we can actually use our full braking power without skipping belts, and that for me is definitely going to be the biggest upgrade, because man, I hate belt skip when I'm braking. If I want to stop, I want to actually stop, not be worried that I'm going to slide through my belts. So for me, that's the #1 reason to upgrade to these gear drives. And well, one could just say, oh, well, maybe you should just have better belt drives. Well, that's not always necessarily the best option, and sometimes you want a specific ratio, and if the gear drive has it, a lot of the time they can offer more reliable performance. So people go back and forth on gears versus belts all the time, and I think the worst part about gears is usually once you're set up, you're kind of stuck at the ratio you're at. With the Board Dynamics gear drives, he does have a couple ratios and you can swap them out, but it is definitely a pretty intensive process to go through and take green Loctite off of a motor shaft and blow torch off the old gear, and then make sure you set the backlash right for the new gears. With these, it's a pretty easy setup. You just slap them in there and you're good to go. However, of course, you are stuck on the one single ratio. I don't know if Linnpower ever plans to have a different ratio, or if they only ever plan to offer this 4.3 ratio. I think 4.3 is pretty good for street boards, and for my 14S setup, it offers pretty good combo of speed and acceleration. So pretty happy with it so far. So while we're here waiting for the light, what I really want to talk about today is kind of my first thoughts on both the tires and the gear drives, because this is my first ride on either of them. Linnpower sent me this gear drives quite a while ago actually, and I've just now gotten time to throw them on this build with the Onsra TKP trucks. And one of the things I like about these gear drives, and when I was setting them up, is the fixed backlash. You can't mess it up. All you have to do is put the motor on the plate, mount the plate up to the gear drive. You don't have to finick, or you don't have to mess around with the perfect meshing. They already do it for you. And it's the same way on the Newbee 4-gear drives. Those are helical gears, not straight cut, so they will sound quite different. Right off the bat, these are quite a bit louder than the Newbee ones, as expected. And that's going to be due to the combination of those metal middle gears and the fact that they're straight cut instead of helical. The helical design does cut off a lot of that sort of raspy sound that you hear with straight cut gear drives. So if you're not a fan of that, maybe you should go check out the Newbee ones, who are also going to be offering a metal idler gear upgrade pretty soon. So I personally like the sound of straight cuts quite a bit. I have straight cut gears in my race board. They sound incredible. Much louder than these though. The 4-gear system kind of distributes the load across those 2 middle gears, and it does make it sound quite a bit different than just a straight up Mod 1 steel on steel gear. So if you're really looking for noise, you want to go with the Board Dynamics or the Stooge open gear drives. But for sort of moderate but still aggressive sound, you can go for something like these Linnpower ones. Time will tell if they get louder or quieter. Usually gear drives tend to get a little bit louder over time as the lubrication sprays to the outside of the enclosure. But we'll see. I think these will probably stay about the same. So as for these tires, right off the bat, these are incredibly well balanced. I was actually really surprised. These Newbee Impaler rims that I have do stretch the tires a lot. For these ones, I think it was probably about 20 millimeters of stretch. And when I asked M-Boards about stretching them, they said that they stretch pretty well. And I would have to agree, these do seem to have stretched out real well. The sidewalls aren't showing any signs of like weird bulges or inability to comply with the air pressure. I have them pumped up at 35 psi right now, and they seem to be pretty comfortable. I think the SKPs at equivalent air pressure are a little bit more comfortable in my opinion. And man, you can hear the sound of those gear drives, they just sound so nice. Nice little acceleration there. Yeah, they do sound really good. But yeah, these tires are very stable. They're nicely balanced, and the ride quality I feel like is pretty similar to the SKPs, but it does feel different. It's a little bit hard to say exactly what the difference is. I think these feel more planted. They feel a little bit, I don't know if harder is the right word, but since you are distributing the impact across a flat surface rather than a round one, you're going to feel more of the bumps, since the surface won't be able to comply as easily with the ground as you roll over it, and with bumps and rocks and etc. We're on pretty rough asphalt right now on this road, and they're doing a pretty good job of absorbing the bumps and staying stable, which is good because this road is kind of sketchy. And I can get on the sidewalk here and see what those sidewalk bumps feel like. Sidewalk cracks, rather. Still haven't done too much of these Onsra trucks yet. I did flip over the front washer, and surprisingly, it did actually change the ride feel quite a bit. It's still like similar response, but it does have a little bit more turn than it did with the what do you call it, cupped washer installed with the cup facing the bushing. Usually what cupped washers do is they just kind of constrain the movement of the bushing, so the result makes sense. I do still think that it needs riptide bushings though to sort of max out its potential, or max out their potential rather. For now, I think I don't have too much else to say. I don't have too much else to say about the gear drive or tire performance right this second, so I'm just going to get a little bit of riding footage. The street is pretty sketchy, so I'm going to try not to die. But these tires are doing a pretty good job so far. I might even switch over to the sidewalk because some of these bike lane bumps are pretty serious. But yeah, the sound is really nice, really satisfying. Not loud though. I would not call them a loud gear drive. And I honestly think that the belt drives from what I had before with the large pulley made quite a lot of noise as well. So this isn't really that much louder. If anything, it might be quieter at certain speeds. Alrighty guys, we gone about 4.5 miles on this setup so far. One great thing, my wheel adapters are holding up wonderfully. I have not done a full acceleration yet, but I've done some pretty hard braking, and I haven't heard anything weird, no cracking or anything. I will of course be checking these after probably this ride to make sure they're doing all right, but I think they're going to hold up just fine, especially with those screws reinforcing the posts that are driving the engagement to the gear drive. It would be nice to switch those to metal eventually, but that's probably going to be a while, and would require me to get the machine, which is pretty expensive for one-off parts like that. Maybe I have a friend that could prototype some for me, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So, the whole point of this video was to give initial thoughts. Everything is very smooth. I really like how they sound. The meshing is really consistent and smooth. There's not been any weird hiccups or anything. The free roll is pretty good, I would say. The responsiveness is good. The backlash is not too bad at all. And overall, it's just been a good experience so far. The main difference between these and Newbee 4-gear drives is definitely the sound and sort of the feeling as you ride. These are a bit rougher. The Newbee drives are a bit quieter, and the Newbee drives are a bit smoother. Now, I put over 1,000 miles on my Newbee gear drive so far, so it kind of gives me a good idea that the idea of a 4-gear drive design is pretty good. Time will tell, of course, how well these hold up, but I'm optimistic. And I do intend to put a lot of miles on this board, as it's my new, like, quote-unquote daily driver. So I'll be sure to check in with you guys after, I don't know, at least 100 miles or so. And we'll see how it's going, see if my wheel adapters held up, and just see if they're worth your time. My initial impression is they are. And for these tires, again, this is really a time thing, but they do feel very similar to the SKPs. Comfort is very similar. It is a little different, but they seem to perform well so far. People had great grip with these on the track at EskateCon. I don't really intend to ever track this board, just because these trucks don't turn super well. Maybe if I find a setup where these trucks do turn well, I'll consider putting it on the track. But for now, these are great daily tires. I'm going to start tracking how long they've been on the board today, and we'll see how many miles they last before they show some serious wear. Being natural rubber is quite different than the synthetic rubber that we usually have on these e-skate sized tires. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of difference that makes in terms of longevity. A lot of car companies do use synthetic rubber for its benefits of being longer lasting. So we'll see if the extra thickness that M-board gives will give it the equivalent life of a synthetic tire. Also, thinking about the thickness, I wonder if these would be less prone to punctures from small thorns and stuff, because if they are, that could be another good selling point for them. But for now, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to get a little bit more raw footage, and make sure to leave your feedback down in the comments below. What do you think about these gear drives? What do you think about these tires? And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, and check out the build series up in the iCard and in the description, because this is a pretty sweet build. Thanks for watching, stay safe, keep running, and peace out.